The traditional wisdom is that as you drive a new car off of the lot, it loses about 25% of its value immediately. Tesla has changed things around quite a bit. Let's see why. For those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. This video actually arises from a discussion that I had on Discord about Starlink, but it got me thinking about Elon Musk's companies overall, and so I thought it'd be really cool to do a video about it. But first, two very, very quick announcements. Number one, I am trying this on an iPhone 13 in cinema mode, so I'm curious what you all will think about that. It's a little goofy. I'm used to using my Sony with a teleprompter and all of this stuff, so it's much easier to sort of look at the phone. So anyway, I've got a mirror behind this because cinema mode only actually works in the front-facing camera, not in the selfie mode camera. So anyway, I'm giving it a try. So let me know what you think about the iPhone 13 cinema mode. It definitely has quite the, it definitely puts a lot of bokeh in the background. So it's really interesting. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick before I get into the meat of this episode is Giga Berlin. I did a video recently about how I was worried that Giga Berlin might not actually start or might be delayed for a very long time. It already has been delayed for a very long time. So obviously that's been an issue, and it's been costing Tesla, and it's also been, slowing down their production rollout and all of these other things. But anyway, it appears from a German article that I will link in the description, and I'll put a picture up here. And again, Google Translate, so it's not perfectly fantastic, but this has been picked up by a lot of other news sources, so this seems to be very legitimate. And that is that there's an expected thumbs up to Tesla's permit requests so that they can actually start building their first cars. In fact, the first 5 cars have already rolled off the line. I'm sure they're just pre-production models they're using to test stuff out, but no matter what, it's actually really, really cool that those things are already off the line. And it sounds like Tesla is working to ramp to about 1,000 cars produced per week. The indication is that they should be able to start producing in early December, and therefore they should be able to roll off at least a few cars before the end of the year. It's not going to make a material impact on the number of cars they sell this quarter, of course, or for 2021. But of course, the big impact comes with 2022 as they start to ramp up production very rapidly. Elon has said that he expects them to get somewhere around 1,000 per week production rate somewhere in 2022. That seems a little bit, I don't know, maybe he's sandbagging the numbers a little bit, because that would only be, even if they started on January 1st at 1,000 per week, that's only 52,000 cars they would produce. I'm kind of expecting it's going to be a bit more than that. So we'll see. There's some people like Stephen Mark Ryan are incredibly bullish, and they think they're going to have something like 175,000 cars. I don't think they're going to produce that many next year. But, they could come a lot closer to 100,000 cars than 50,000 cars. So anyway, we will see what happens with that. But no matter what, it's going to be fantastic that Berlin is going to come online, and it might actually beat Texas online, which is appropriate since they started factory, building much, much earlier in Germany than in Texas. And, congrats to the German government for possibly getting over all of this bureaucracy and making strides to get Tesla up and running. It's going to be a really big deal for the German people as well. So congratulations to everybody involved. And we'll shift to Texas very, very soon, because I have a feeling that they are going to be hot on the heels of Berlin. Probably, I don't know, at a total guess, they might be producing cars by February of next year. So that's not that far away. Anyway, on to the subject at hand. So what I was talking about was I got a message from Starlink that said, hey, we're going to have your receiver will be, available in mid-2022, which actually made me very, very sad. And I wrote that on Discord. I was like, geez, I'm going to have to wait another 6 or 7 months to get my dish so that I can get Starlink. I know it's first world problems and people always get on my case about this, but Spectrum really, really sucks. Their internet is terrible. And I've been waiting to get Starlink, and I know it's a little bit more per month, but it's really only $25 more per month, and it looks like it's going to be substantially better. So anyway, I was just like, boo-hoo for me, because I'm not going to get Starlink for another 6 or 7 months. And one of my Patreon patrons on Discord said, hey, don't worry about that, because you're going to get a better product. Look, already they've gone from the pizza dish variety, or the pizza variety, which is like a circle, to this really kind of cool rectangular shape that they now are selling. And so who knows what other cool advancements you'll get by, middle of July of 2022 or so. And that got me thinking. I was like, yeah, right. You know, when you get something from an Elon Musk company like Starlink or like Tesla, and I know Starlink's not his own company, but anyway, SpaceX, let's just say SpaceX. I expect Starlink will become its own company very, very soon, perhaps December 9th. There are some rumors that Starlink might IPO or go separate or something like that on December 9th, but we will see. That doesn't really matter for what I'm talking about here, but it is an interesting little factor. But anyway, when you purchase these products, and especially when you purchase a Tesla, what I said in the introduction is, traditional cars lose their value incredibly rapidly after you purchase them because essentially what you're buying is something that's old. You're buying something that took years for them to design and create and make, and they used kind of conservative methods for constructing the hardware and the software. So basically, by the time you buy this car, a 2021 Toyota Camry or whatever it is, even if it's a new model, which really only come out every 5 years or so, you're getting things that were developed to be conservative and to be in the past. And then the car is the car forever. For the life of that car, as long as you own that car, and it's only going to decrease in value because, of course, it's old and the newer things that are coming out later, I guess they try to convince people that they're better. I'm not sure that they are. Generally speaking, if a model has like a 5-year lifespan, all they do between 2020 and 2021 or something is add a couple of bells and whistles and maybe put some chrome on it or something like that. They don't make any substantial changes to a car over 5 years. So generally speaking, if people are in the know, what you want to do is you want to purchase your car the first year of the new design, which is generally about every 5 years or so. And you have to kind of check with, sources to find out what that is. But even if you get the very brand newest version of this car, you're buying something that's old and it never gets updated. The big difference with Tesla, the product, is that you're getting a car that then will be able to be upgraded because this car is so software based. People have gotten things like increased acceleration performance, increased range, of course, the full self-driving and navigate on autopilot and safety features, all of those things continue to improve. And that means that your Tesla vehicle, as people have seen, and I know it's a weird market right now anyway, but use Teslas. My Model Y with 18,000 miles on it now because we drove to Washington, D.C. With 18,000 miles on it is worth more today than when I purchased it. And that is a bizarre thing. But that's because what you're doing is you're buying the future when you buy a Tesla. You're buying something that actually improves over time, which is really unusual with a hardware product. Speaking of the iPhone 13 and the like of that, it's hard to justify getting new phones over time because even with software updates, they kind of are more or less the same, right? So it's like every 2 to 3 years seems to be adequate to get a new phone. You don't really need one every year. They don't have enough magical new things. Now, the cinema mode is the reason why I bought this, but that's because I run a YouTube channel and I thought it would be really cool to, to have that, to be able to do better quality videos just with something that was in my pocket. So anyway, there are specific use cases, but in general, a phone is a rather expensive thing. And the software upgrades nowadays are like, okay, they're not fantastic, but you get little increments to that. So I think part of it, of course, is also the maturity of the market. Phones matured very rapidly to go from the iPhone 1 to the iPhone 2 to the iPhone 3G, if I'm remembering correctly. Those were gigantic jumps between each of them. And where we are with Tesla, of course, because it's a much larger, more durable good, you've got an automobile, which is a huge item and it's very complicated to build. You are getting things that jump pretty rapidly between iterations. Of course, Tesla has a very different methodology than Apple or most other companies, which is that they're constantly upgrading their car. So that's another piece of the puzzle, of course, is that if you only have a new phone every year, you roll all of your advances into that phone every year, and then you do software upgrades. With a Tesla, if my December 2020 Model Y is, I can't even imagine. I think it's, what did they say, 27 changes a week or something? I think that's what Sandy Monroe said. It's absolutely nuts. Or maybe that was Elon Musk. Anyway, somebody, I'm forgetting who said that, but it's like 27 changes a week in automobiles, which is crazy. So that means that we're about a year away, and per week, 50 times 20, so something around 1,500-ish changes. Is that right? Yeah, 50 times 20, 30. Wow. So somewhere around 1,500 changes have been made between my version of the Model Y and what you would pick up today if you went to the store and bought it. Assuming, of course, you could get it, because you can't get one for another 6 or 7 months, but assuming you just took delivery of one. So that's a pretty crazy thing, right? It's only been 1 year and there's well over 1,000 changes that have been made to the vehicle in that amount of time. So it's a better vehicle. So you're buying the future in terms of the vehicle because it's being upgraded after you purchase it, but also the vehicle is constantly being upgraded. So every time you get a later one, there's little tweaks to it and everything like that. So that's cool. And then the last thing that you're buying is the future in terms of the factories. Stephen Mark Ryan, again, Solving the Money Problem. I just watched this as I was working out this morning. Did a really interesting episode talking about how the factories are squeezing more and more and more capacity out of exactly the same size factory. And so people are saying, well, Shanghai is limited to 500,000 because that's what they said for this particular phase of the factory. And yet they're squeezing out something more like 700 to 750,000 vehicles out of the same space because Tesla is constantly evaluating how to use space as well as possible and to make things more efficient and to reduce the number of parts and the number of robots and the number of things that are necessary to build a car. All of that means that they can produce more cars in the same footprint. I mean, Tesla Fremont is an amazing story. It's like they were maxed out in terms of space. I've been there, I've seen it. It's a huge factory, but it's completely landlocked. There's no way it can go anywhere else. And yet they still keep managing to crank out more and more cars out of there because they keep making the factory more and more and more efficient. So what does this all mean? This means that Tesla is really not the same as almost any other company I can think of, and SpaceX as well with Starlink, because that's the only real consumer-facing product that, of course, SpaceX sells. Unless you happen to want to launch a satellite, in which case, cool for you. But in terms of us normal consumers, Starlink satellite receivers, and then, of course, everything from Tesla and then Neuralink and the Boring Company and stuff don't really sell consumer-facing products yet either. But these products that they are selling to consumers are things that are future-oriented. They're like you buy it today and it's going to get better over time, not you buy it today and it's going to get worse over time. I mean, think about Starlink, not just the fact that the receivers are changing, but every time that SpaceX launches a new batch of 60 satellites into the sky, you get improved performance. So you are buying the future, right? So the $500 to get the receiver dish and all of that kind of stuff, and the $100 subscription per month to get internet, of course, is not nothing, but you're getting access to something that's improving over time, not disimproving over time. It's not wearing out, it's actually improving. Same thing with the Tesla. I know there's a lot of changes between last year's Model Y and this year's Model Y, but I love the car that I have. I'm not going like, oh, gee whiz, there's this thing that's totally missing that I wish I had. It's perfectly fine. It works great. The software is amazing. I mean, the fact that I'm now driving full self-driving beta, and I drove back from Washington, D.C. on Saturday after Thanksgiving. It was it's usually about a 10-hour drive. It was over 11 hours because traffic was just terrible. But I put it in autopilot, my wife and I, Misinformation and I, and for 99+% of the drive, it just drove itself, which is really, really nice when you have rush hour traffic and everything. I did not do a video like Holmar's catalog. I can't believe that he actually videoed his entire drive. I think it was from Los Angeles to, I don't know where it was. Anyway, it was up the coast of California. It was really bad also. I didn't do that. I maybe should have. It would have been pretty cool to do a fast motion thing, but I am telling you right now, full self-driving alone is unbelievable, and that is the future as well. So we've got software that's going towards the future. We've got hardware that's going towards the future. We've got factories that are going towards the future. They're producing these things more, efficiently and everything. I assume that's going on with Starlink as well. Probably one of the reasons they went with a rectangular dish is that they figured out they could manufacture that a heck of a lot cheaper because round is really hard to manufacture, and they probably realized that if they did their phased array antenna correctly, that they'd be able to make that work with a rectangular dish. And by the way, I've done a couple episodes on that up here if you want to check those out at some point. So anyway, I am by no means a stock analyst. Of course, do your own research, etc. But what I see is that Tesla stock is going to go up, and of course Starlink, if it rolls out and does its own IPO or something like that, that is going to go up as well, because Elon Musk, as opposed to just about everybody else in the world, seems to be building for the future, not trying to hold on to the past and have you purchase something that's already out of date by the time you get it. That is an amazing accomplishment, and I think it really sets off what differentiates Elon Musk's companies from everybody else's in the world. So for everybody else, take note. I don't know how exactly you build products for the future, but he manages to do it, so everybody else should be able to too, right? And of course, like most of you, I'm waiting with bated breath for the first German-built Model Y to roll off the production line and go to a customer. That is going to be a very exciting day. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it fun and thought-provoking. If you did, please do like it because it really actually helps out a ton, and also consider subscribing for more of this. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you all so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. I've got an announcement coming later this week if I can get everything together to make it all work, but I've got an announcement about Patreon. I will give you a tiny little hint that maybe if you're thinking about signing up for Patreon, it might be a good idea to do it now before I get to my announcement. But anyway, it's no big deal. But I just wanted to let you know about that. It will be coming later this week. I'm sort of lining it up with the beginning of December. But anyway, in the meantime, and no matter what, I really do appreciate everyone's support. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in some awesome merch, check out the link in the description. We've got the Tesla Bot t-shirt, which is super popular these days. Don't mess with Tesla. Lots of other t-shirts, tumblers, mugs, etc. So check out the link in the description and help the channel out. And for those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Thank you. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a solar roof, a power wall, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. And as always, feel free to ask me questions in the comments or at my email address, which is drknowitallknows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.